just to warn you, I may start with something that might make us a little bit uncomfortable, which is okay. Jesus came to make us uncomfortable. So the first reading from Acts of the Apostles describes a community where no one claimed private ownership of any possessions, but everything they owned was held in common. Now, if you're kind of paying attention, right, maybe your first thought might be, wait a second. That sounds a little like communism. Isn't that interesting? We live in a world where we are taught that private property is sacred, where success is measured by what we accumulate, where the American dream is built on individual ownership. Yet here we have our earliest Christian ancestors living in what seems like a radical economic arrangement. But let's not jump to conclusions. The early church wasn't advocating for some state-controlled economics or rejecting the ideal of personal stewardship. What they were doing was something far more revolutionary. They were reorienting their entire relationship with material things. Notice what motivated them. There was great grace among them. They weren't forced into this lifestyle. They were drawn to it. By the power of the resurrection, they were still celebrating. And when you've encountered the risen Christ, suddenly your possessions don't seem so important anymore. And this brings us to a uniquely Catholic insight on economics. I mean, in reality, there's no real theology on it, but what it does is, like, our church doesn't endorse pure capitalism or pure socialism. In fact, there's some very clear statements on each in the Catechism. Be familiar with them, please. Instead, Catholic social doctrine presents what's sometimes called the third way. Right? The principle of universal destination of goods alongside the right to private property. So what does that mean in plain English? It means that while we have a right to own things, that right isn't absolute. Sometimes I think one of the best lessons of this was when I was a child. And I used to get upset at my dad when he came into my room and looked around. It's like, Dad, you can't go, that's my stuff. It's like, really? Who actually owns it? Touche, Dad, touche. You see, everything we have ultimately belongs to God, right? Yeah. And it's meant for when properly understood, when properly received, and properly stewarded, it's meant for the benefit of all. Whether it's even if it's something that's privately held, how is this being invited to be used for love of others? And it's not just for our own interests. Now think about that in our world today. We see extreme wealth alongside extreme poverty. We see companies that treat workers as disposable resources. We see an economy that often prioritizes profit over people, but yet at some time, on the other reverse, there are some advocating, forcibly taking from others to distribute to other people, through force. But we're called as Catholics to bring the grace of the resurrection into this reality. Now, the early Christians sold their possessions to help those in need. And now what's the equivalent for us? Maybe it's examining our investments. Maybe a few of you already have some, right? It's good to have. Right? And maybe ensuring that what you're investing in is supporting something moral and ethical. Maybe it might not make you the most profit in the short term, but maybe it's supporting businesses that treat their workers with the dignity that they have as human beings. Maybe it's simplifying our lives so we have more to share. Maybe it's advocating for economic policies that protect the vulnerable at every stage of life. See, the resurrection isn't just about life after death. It's about new life right here, right now. It's about being freed from the tyranny of materialism, from the fear that we never have enough, from the illusion that our worth is measured by what we own. As we continue our Easter season, I just invite you to ask yourselves, how has the reality of the resurrection changed your relationship with your possessions? Are you holding them with open hands or clenched fists? How are we being called to bring the grace of Easter into the economic realities of our lives?